my signature model is very diverse, and it's got the feel of a classic guitar in a lot of ways. It's certainly got the tone of a classic guitar, but you can take it with you, and you don't have to worry about it. You know, they're a lot of them are made, so even though you don't want something to go wrong with it, you don't have the sense that it's completely irreplaceable. And it's got that. I wanted that classic sound, but I wanted it to be playable for folks that maybe grew up on more modern guitars. You know, sort of the post-1980s guitars that so many of us are familiar with. And it's really got that. I mean, I've met a whole bunch of folks who have picked up the guitar, not necessarily ones that play the same type of music that I do, and they rave about it. I see posts about it online. Folks just that got it, not necessarily because my name's attached. Sometimes that's the case, and that's very nice, but it's the guitar really stands out on its own. It's not required that you get it just because my name is on it. Yeah, and it's easy enough to play. I wouldn't say it's not like a razor thin guitar. It's not like one of those super easy to play ones, but it's easy enough, and it's a lot easier than guitars that usually have that level of tone. I would want somebody like a Warren Haynes or a Santana or somebody like that to be able to pick it up. These are guys that grew up on Yngwie, know? But at the same time, somebody who did grow up on Yngwie or Vi or whoever, they can play it, and they're like, oh, wow, I can kind of tap into that tone I like, but it's not like, I'm not torturing myself with how difficult it is to play and how thick the neck is and stuff like that. Yeah, well, the coil split option is something I've always wanted in that type of guitar, where you could temporarily, get a sort of really biting, funky sound, maybe bluesy, that doesn't necessarily go with the type of guitar that's not typical on a guitar like that. I will say that for the longest time, I was a fan of the JB pickup by Seymour Duncan, and I needed something a little more powerful and that cut through better. So we really tried to make it compete with the active pickups, but retain those qualities of those classic JB style Seymour Duncan pickups. So I need something that works for metal, but also can work outside of metal. Yeah, well, part of the reason I chose the Headstock was it does stand out, and it is a little different. As with a couple of my other answers, I tend not to go along with the crowd. That was a big part of it, but also I just thought I was actually surprised that it wasn't that common a headstock. We're the oddball, we're the odd duck, which I'm just totally happy with. That's interesting, and I'm not trying to be different from the crowd so much as, for some reason, the guitars I've liked over the years have had rosewood on the fingerboards. Originally, I was a big fan of maple, and my favorite guitarist for years, still one of my all-time heroes, is Eddie Van Halen, and I always liked those necks. He always in the early days, the guitars he's best known for, he would slap on a separate neck, and it was always a maple fingerboard. Mm-hmm. And so for quite a while, I thought, okay, that's the way to go. But over the years, I realized just rosewood, and I don't know if it was the fingerboard specifically, but just the overall guitars that I just had the most connection with and the most feelings with happened to have rosewood necks, rosewood fingerboards. So eventually I just said, you know what, I just got to keep it rosewood. It just wouldn't feel honest to not. And I know there are some great guitars with ebony fingerboards, but it's just one of those things. I couldn't put my fingers on it, no pun intended. There's just certain styles and certain licks and parts that are really comfortable on that guitar, or more comfortable on the Aquaburst with the Floyd. I mean, I think the Lemon Burst probably has a little more resonance, as all guitars do, without a tremolo bar. But this one still has a lot of resonance, and it's very controllable. It's like just the right amount of resonance. And it works great for instrumental music, especially. It's kind of interesting. I don't use it that much with the metal stuff. Occasionally, I do have an LTD version in Europe with the Testament gear, and I use it, and I'll sometimes throw in some tremolo bar stuff that I might not normally do, but I don't feel like dependent on it at all. Whereas with some of the instrumental stuff I do, I've really gotten used to the tremolo bar. Somehow that guitar, just really works nice when sort of, going in that direction. That sort of electric instrumental stuff that's not abrasive. It's smooth, but it's still got some bite. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. I sometimes hear from skeptics out there, like, you don't play those, those are the, and I've posted photos. What's this? How do you explain that? So I say it's not a substitute necessarily for the other guitar, but it does work in a lot of the same situations. I mentioned the 2-guitar loud bass, loud band situation. The same way, I'm not going to need a very distinct sounding amp. I need an amp that sounds good. I don't need like perfect sounding amp because I'm not playing by myself. I'm sort of blending in to a sound. So I can use something like a Kemper, which works really well. It's very similar with the LTD. If I'm playing with a band and I'm blending in, it blends in just fine. Even on some studio recordings. There's some studio recordings where, the LTD was handy. It sounded good. We just used it. It's got all the qualities I like about my guitar, but different. It's a little lighter. It's got a slightly different tone. The neck, I think, is a little thinner, so it's even. It's a little bit. I think mine are pretty easy to get around on, but I think the USA one is even a little easier. It's got a little extra twang to it as well. Why do I play ESP guitars? Well, there's a bunch of reasons, but one of the main ones is the quality. Quality is consistent. Uh, I Before I started playing mine, I met with a lot of folks that play them and asked around, and the folks that have picked up ESPs seem really happy with them. You don't hear the type of complaints you hear with some other companies who shall remain nameless. I think the rate of return is really low. And I also knew that they're capable of making all types of guitars. So you may have seen ESPs that are more tailored for entry level players, and there's plenty of those, and they're great for entry level players. But there's also some really advanced instruments that easily compete with some of the top classic guitars, and so the quality is there regardless. So I'm happy to play ESP, and it's been great to have my own guitar under the ESP brand that folks can get, and just hearing how happy with their guitars people are who pick up those guitars has been a great thing. So for all those reasons, that's why I play ESP.